Ah, what's up, my fellow fart bags of earth? Casey Katsaris here, and I'm really terrified for a number of reasons. I'm particularly scared in just this little moment right here because I've never done a video like this before. I'm very used to hiding behind a goofy character and making a lot of jokes about butts and farts and poo-poo, and that'll still happen here probably, but I'm feeling very vulnerable to actually just get in front of a camera and say things I think and feel about the world and our current situation. So I'm scared, and I'm going to do it anyway. I've seen so many amazing people creating great content on YouTube and speaking honestly to issues and doing incredible analysis, and I see, amazingly courageous people like AOC and Bernie Sanders going out every day in this crisis and doing whatever they can to have some kind of positive impact, to change things, and not just have the grocery store workers and the hospital workers, and all of whom are being exploited at the same time. I don't want to just call you heroes and pat you on the back, but I'm very grateful. It's like I'm in a position right now where I'm incredibly privileged. I'm so lucky because a couple weeks before all the shit hit the fan with this whole global pandemic thing, I got a new gig working on a friend's show, and now I'm working from home. I have a paycheck and stability, and I am in the minority there. So many people are in a really screwed situation right now. So as long as I'm here in this privileged position, obviously I'm staying in my house. I'm practicing social distancing. I don't want to do anything that would make more people sick or dead. So there's not a lot I can do when I'm stuck in my house. And while I do have a steady paycheck, I don't have a lot of money. Just to put in context, the last 2 years of my life were economically horrific. Driving Lyft, it was a nightmare. I'll make another video about that later. So I don't have a ton of money to donate to things. I'm donating what I can. I'm mostly stuck in a house. But I think one thing I can do is go on a video like this and at least express myself, share my thoughts and feelings in the hope that it has some positive impact, that I inspire someone to take action or entertain you or make you think, or just give you a sense of solidarity, because that's something I could really use right now. As someone whose politics are very leftist, as someone who thinks that capitalism is intrinsically toxic and destructive, I feel very lonely right now. I do have many amazing friends who think similarly, and I'm so grateful for them, but I just want to do whatever I can to connect with a larger community and get us all talking to each other, because I think there are more people who can see through the horrors and the subterfuge of the capitalists. Not see through the horrors, see the horrors, see through the subterfuge to see the horrors of capitalism. And but we're never going to find each other and connect and organize to make the world a better place for everybody unless we get out in public and say what we think, and let others who think like us know that we exist. So if you watch this video and you like what I'm saying and you're like, this guy's making good points, or however you respond to videos, please raise your voice. Join me. Say the same shit on your social media. Say the same shit to people you speak to directly. Let's spread these ideas around, and let's liberate ourselves from the feeling that we are this weird, crazy minority, because I know I've had that feeling, and I imagine you probably have as well if you think similarly to how I do. And let's give ourselves a break. Let's connect with each other, and let's build a community. Oh no, coronavirus. Don't worry, I'm not sick. I just love smoking weed. So I've got a little outline over here. So I'm going to try to keep this on track. I'll probably digress and rant about things because I'm not just scared, but enraged. But I'll try to stay on task. And if you don't like loosey-goosey videos like this, well then why don't you just go take your big juicy caboosey and go watch I Love Lucy? Am I right? So we are, I'm gonna get a little tissue. Sorry if I'm sweaty. It's pretty it's kind of warm today in the hellish desert wasteland that is Los Angeles. So apologies if I look moist.
I hope it doesn't bother you too much. I hope my moist face doesn't bother you too much. I'll try to make it drier. Is it nice now?
So we are currently in the midst of a global pandemic. You've probably noticed. It's really horrible. People are dying. More likely than not, many more people are going to die, probably, sadly. Hope it doesn't happen. But, I think we're all pretty much agreed that this is a horrible situation, and that coronavirus is a really horrible threat to the world. Unless you're one of those conspiracy theorists who's saying that the coronavirus is a hoax and it's not actually happening, and the hospitals are empty and all this other fun stuff I've seen online lately. And here's the thing, guys who believe that, since I know you don't like to be called conspiracy theorists and you think it's a slur because you're out of your damn minds. But anyway, not conspiracy theorists, to you champions of truth, to you people you skeptics who won't just accept the official story. I hope you're right. I hope you're fucking right. I hope that coronavirus is a hoax. Because if you're right, then there won't be a bunch of coronavirus cases in the coming weeks, and thousands of people won't die. So that would be really cool if you're right. But on the other hand, let's say like a month or two from now, it turns out like a bunch of people do die from coronavirus, and it turns out it's a real virus and real people die from it. I hope that all of you think it's a hoax. Could do me a big favor and take a shit on a plate and smash it into your own face. And then after that, please never share your opinion in public again. Because what you think is dangerous and you're fucking hurting people. But again, maybe you're right. Maybe history will prove you right. We'll see what happens. I'm not counting on it because you're nuts. So because we're in this global pandemic crisis, obviously there's a huge economic impact. Already 10 million people have lost their jobs. People are struggling to pay their bills. They're struggling to pay their rent. They're struggling to pay their mortgages. They're struggling to pay for everything because capitalism is not built to handle a pandemic. At least not American capitalism, certainly. And we can have discussions about the spectrum of capitalism around the world, and America's definitely the fucking worst. But anyway, it's not working. The rickety three-wheeled jalopy that is human civilization has gone off-road, and it is fucking bumpy already, and it's gonna get bumpier unless we just realize that this fucking car sucks, and we need to make a new car that's not a rickety, shitty three-wheeled jalopy. We need a car that works. Again, the car is civilization, if you lost the metaphor. So let's build a new civilization car, is what I'm going for. Let's create something new, and I'll talk about that more at the end. But for now, let's look at this notion that has been brought up by many of having a rent strike. Renters and people paying mortgages. What if everyone just didn't pay? Obviously it's all but impossible that 100% of people would pay. Let's say, hypothetically, 80% of renters and mortgage payers just did not pay rent or mortgage anymore. It just stopped. Never did it again. And so now the question is, a rent strike and a mortgage strike, is that a good idea? Yes, I think it is. And I'll tell you why. Because the U.S. government just had an opportunity to do something to help people who are in these economic crises, all right? They passed a stimulus bill, and it's garbage. If you haven't already seen these numbers, this stimulus bill is going to cost about $18,000 per American citizen, and then we each get a check for $1,200. So actually not everybody gets a check because there's all these little, conditions and when did you last pay taxes and blah, 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 and what's your income and all that shit. So not even everybody gets a check. Well, just for the sake of discussion, let's pretend everyone's going to get a $1,200 check. That means that the U.S. government has taken $18,000 from each taxpayer is giving $16,800 of it to corporations because of the way the stimulus bill is structured. And then they're taking $1,200 of that $18,000 they stole from you and giving it to you and calling it a gift. All right? So the bill is garbage. It's complete fucking horseshit. I'm glad a lot of people are going to get a check for $1,200. It's certainly better than nothing. And I hope it helps a lot. And it can only help so much. It will run out very quickly in terms of our modern world and our nation, how much things cost. So the government had a chance, hasn't done anything. And when the government has a chance and the people express their interest in something happening and the government doesn't do it, I don't see what other options there are than civil disobedience. I mean, the other option is a violent revolution, which I am not really into because I tend to subscribe to a philosophy of nonviolence. I really think the best course of action is to endeavor to never resort to violence if possible. I do think there are specific cases where violence is justified. But really, generally speaking, my philosophy for life is don't hurt people physically or psychologically if you can help it. And definitely don't kill people. I try to keep my philosophy pretty simple. So I say civil disobedience. I think civil disobedience would be a good way to go. And if you don't want to work with civil disobedience, well, the guys with fucking guillotines and pitchforks are right behind me. So I would encourage you to consider maybe civil disobedience as an option, because if the cycle of human history is any indicator, and it definitely is, if we don't figure out this whole inequality thing sometime soon, like in the next couple, the next decade or two, maybe sooner, again, tough to predict, the streets are going to run red with the blood of billionaires. It will happen eventually. And to all you billionaires out there, first of all, okay, I won't insult you first. To all you billionaires out there, now's your chance to prevent your inevitable demise under a violent revolution. So if you want it, you could just write a check right now, give all your, or not give, I don't even want you to give all your money away. Just give away almost all of it. Like, you don't need more than $1 billion. If you have $60 billion and you haven't given away 59 billion of it, you're a fucking psycho. Like, what are you doing? Why? Like, for what? To have it sit in a bank account, accrue interest? Like, it's so weird. When you could go, it just freaks me out. Like, if I had all this billions of dollars, you could just go out on the weekend and like help people out. You could like go to the children's hospital and like pay for some kid's surgery. You could go to like some poor area and hand out gourmet meals, and like it would be great for you. Or maybe you're not. Maybe that's what it comes down to, is that like people who are billionaires just like don't get anything out of like helping other people. Like, I don't know about you, but for me, it's like, it's great. Like when you help somebody out and make their life nicer, and then they're grateful and they say thank you, and you're like, of course, I'm happy to help. Like, it's great. It's so nice to help people. And I just imagine these billionaires just don't like helping people, because if they did like helping people, they would behave entirely differently. Their actions just reveal what they actually care about. And here's a little digression I like to do. Billionaires running for president. Because you might have noticed in this last Democratic primaries that are still happening. But anyway, billionaires, why are billionaires running for president? Like, this is fucking insane. Why, like just the notion of a billionaire running for president, for you to be behind and support a billionaire running for president, I feel like you have to believe that the president of the United States has more power than a billionaire. That like if you elected this guy to be president, then he'd have more power to help people in that office. And that's fucking bullshit. If you have $60 billion in your bank account, you are more powerful than the president of the United States of America. Like, do you not realize that, everyone in America? Like, billionaires having money, it's the most powerful thing in the world. If a billionaire wanted to solve the Flint water crisis, all they have to do is write a fucking check for a tiny fraction of their fortune, and it's over. If a president wants to end the Flint water crisis, they have to talk to the other politicians and talk to Congress and talk to Senate and make deals and compromise and consider all sides and all this shit. Anyway, don't getting back on track with the rent strike thing, I think it would be a good idea. And so a couple of days ago, I posted on social media. I'm going to wipe my face again. I feel very moist. Am I moist? Am I moist again? Am I moist again? I'm doing the video like this. What if I do the video where I look like this? Can I do the video like this? Okay. So a couple days ago, I posted a little post on social media, on Instagram and Facebook and whatever. I posted on social media, and I basically said, like, so we're all gonna not pay our rent tomorrow, right? Or we're not gonna pay our mortgage either, right? And look, like I'm no fool. I know what Americans are like. I know what humans are like. I know that the chances that any large majority of Americans would commit to and carry out a rent and mortgage strike in a unified, effective way is very slim. And I still wanted to bring it up. And just generally speaking, in terms of like trying to make the world different or better, nicer for people, I think you got to swing for the fences, guys. Compromise can be great. But man, it has so quickly become shitty. And eventually you don't stand for anything that you actually believe in because you're always compromising. So I posted this thing on social media and I said, let's never pay our rent. Let's never pay our mortgage again. And man, I'll tell you, if you want to divide up the liberals and the leftists in your friend list, just go on and say you think we should never pay rent again, and you'll find out real quick who believes what. Which is kind of the point, like, yes, would I like, if I had posted those things and then a bunch of people came on and started commenting and messaging me like, yeah, rent strike, let's do it, fuck the power, we'll burn down capitalism, we're gonna reinvent this whole planet, yeah, rent strike, mortgage strike, woo, like, that'd be great. Of course I would have been thrilled. But like, again, I know it's unlikely. It's just not likely. And so the kind of, the secondary function, or really kind of the primary function, was to test the waters. Like, let's see, how do people respond when I suggest, hey, let's never pay rent again. Let's never pay mortgages again. And people responded, and it was great. If anyone who responded is watching this, thank you. Thank you for responding to my post and actually saying something, because so many people are just lurking they're just looking, they're reading things, they have opinions, they have thoughts, and then they don't share them. You're just quiet. And I get it. I do it all the time, and this is exactly what I'm trying to do here is stop being quiet. Fucking speak up. So even if we disagree, the fact that you spoke up and actually said what you think, and in some cases engaged me in a back and forth conversation of ideas with sincerity, like, that's so amazing. Thank you so much. You are really extraordinary for doing that. You are. You're unusual. Most people are not doing that. Most people are being very quiet. And I want all of us I just want us who believe what I believe to be louder, because the people who believe what I don't believe are already really fucking loud. And I'm so goddamn tired of hearing their little fucking weasel machine gun voices. Ben Shapiro, fuck you! The point is, people gave me feedback. And so now in this video, I'd like to address some of the main concerns people have about a rent strike and a mortgage strike and fears and all that. So let's go through a few of the concerns that people brought up. The most popular concern that people raise is something along the lines of, but my landlord is poor and they're nice. They're an old lady, and she's really old, and she has the special medication she needs to buy so her legs don't explode, and she needs her rent if I don't pay her rent. And it's like, yeah, okay, then pay her the rent. Like, I said, like, nobody pay rent, nobody pay mortgage. And, like, I stand by that. But, yeah, it's like a generalization. The world is complicated and nuanced. And, yes, there are some landlords, some independent landlords, who are just, nice people without much money who really need that rent to keep coming in so they can get by. So I acknowledge that. And if you know your landlord and you think they're nice and you think they charge you fair rent, and they need your rent to feed themselves and do basic things so that they can survive, yes, please pay them. My goal is to protect and preserve human life, okay? So if for you in your specific circumstance, following the rent strike would hurt a person, then don't do it. But here's the other side to all this, okay? Independent landlords are the minority. I have sources, I'll put links in the description, but the majority of landlords in America are large companies. And then of the people who are independent landlords, unfortunately, I could not find any good data on what percentage of those independent landlords are, above a certain income or net worth or whatever. I think it's safe to say, because of the nature of capitalism and the way that, like so few people are ever able to pull themselves out of poverty. Like, I don't know if you've looked at the statistics, it's like 12% or something. Like, if you're born into poverty, there's an 88% chance you're going to be poor your whole fucking life. So if you own a house that you're renting out and collecting rent on, more often, I'm going to just go out on a limb here and say probably more often than not, you're kind of well off if you were actually able to buy a house. Now, things get a little different when you're talking about older people, because if they're a lot older, then they were buying in a different market when they were younger. And that's another reason why none of this shit is fair. But basically, my real bottom line point here is that this isn't about individuals, okay? This is about the system. The system is guilty. In no way am I trying to vilify landlords, though there are a lot of landlords who are fucking horrible. Like mine, for example, really terrible. Here's a fun little story of my landlord, big company. My property's been sold twice since I moved in about 7 years ago. So that's fun to constantly just have different fuckers owning your home. Really great system. Let's keep it going. Here's a shitty thing that my landlord did to a neighbor. I mean, they've harassed me and fucked with me, but really most of the stuff they've done to me is just like harassment and fear tactics and bullshit. The really shitty thing they did to a tenant in my building is she had an air conditioner in her bedroom, and the air conditioner was filled with black mold and mushrooms. And so she reached out to the landlords and was like, Yo, like that, my air conditioner is filled with black mold and mushrooms. Could you please replace it? And they were like, you're exaggerating. You're making a big deal out of this, because it's like they're a multi-million-dollar company where they're collecting $100,000 a month, probably about from this property every month. So how are they going to afford a new air conditioner for a tenant, right? Let's think of them, huh? So anyway, they finally gave in, and they replaced her air conditioner, and she took pictures. She took the old one apart, took pictures. I've seen the pictures. They're disgusting. She was essentially in her bedroom breathing black mold and fungi particles every night while she was sleeping. And so the good news is they did eventually replace it. The not so good news is that now she uses a fucking inhaler. She's never used an inhaler in her life. Now she does, thanks to the shitty, dirty air conditioner that the landlords refused to replace. So yeah, most landlords, I think, are fucking assholes. All right? So any of you out there who want to chop off the landlords' heads, I fucking get it. And also, there is a minority of landlords who are decent, and I think those people should be acknowledged and protected. I think everyone should be protected. I don't want anyone to get their head chopped off. That's why I'm fucking going for civil disobedience here. Okay, so if you have a nice, kindly landlord, pay them, do whatever, use your best judgment, okay? And the institution of rent and landlords is awful. It's so destructive and so toxic. It has killed an incalculable number of people over the course of human history. Okay, because it's real simple. Housing is a basic human need. If you don't have housing, you're going to live outside on the streets. And we have the data and evidence to show that if a human is thrown out to live on the streets, chances are they're going to die an untimely death, and more often than not, a slow and agonizing one. All right? That's the reality of when you kick someone out of their home, you are killing them. You're killing them. All right? I get you're not like putting a knife into their chest or slitting their throat or shooting them in the fucking face. But when you take an action that results in a person dying, that's killing them! I can't fucking believe The way capitalists put these buffers between their fucking actions and the consequences to pretend like you're not fucking killing people. You're killing people. Take responsibility. And also, I get it, okay? The system is shitty for everyone. If you're a landlord, you're born into a world where every fucking arbiter of moral righteousness tells you this shit is good. That, like, it's supposed to be this way, that it's fair, that people should earn their keep and pay to earn their life. And it's fucking nonsense, especially at the point we're at in history now with the technology we have and the interconnectivity and the globalized systems. It's fucking crazy that we're still doing capitalism, in my eyes. So rent and landlords, all right? So getting back on that. Housing is a human need. If you kick someone out, you're basically killing them. Therefore, all rent that has ever been charged in history was coerced, okay? All rent is coerced by the threat of death. And this isn't just rent and landlords, it's all of capitalism. Right now, we are running a civilization, this goes beyond America, running a civilization on the premise that the best way to run a civilization, the most effective, the most functional way, is to hold a metaphorical gun to everyone's head and say, keep working or we're gonna fucking kill you with poverty. Keep working or you're gonna die in a fucking gutter. You're gonna get kicked out of your house. You're gonna starve. You're gonna catch some disease. You're gonna catch pneumonia, all right? Homelessness is a killer. You know, there are 550,000 homeless people in America now. There's going to be more in a week, and there's going to be more a week after that, and there's going to be fucking more a week after that, regardless of whether we strike or not, okay? The economy is fucking hitting a wall. Because like I said before, capitalism is not built to handle a pandemic. Things are going to get ugly. Sadly, I hate it. But we got to deal with it, and we've got to be real, or else we can't solve any of these problems. And to me, the institution of rent and landlording is a core problem of human society. So if you have the nice landlord, I get it. And also that landlord, by no fault of their own intrinsically, has become a component of a destructive and toxic system. And you're a component too, and so am I. The tenants, the landlords, we're all cogs in this machine. And the only way I see to get beyond it is if we all refuse to play this game. That's the only way I see where everyone can do well. Which leads me into another concern that people brought up, which is that one person said that if a rent strike happened, rent and mortgage strike, that it would be chaos, and Trump would take it as the opportunity to say he's refusing to leave and he'd cancel the election, and it would be martial law, and there'd be tanks in the street, and it would be so horrible, and even more people would be hurt than are hurt now by the current situation. And like, I get that perspective, and the American government is definitely volatile and dangerous. So I totally get that. And I just get the general perspective of like, it would hurt more than it would help. Like the reward would not match the cost, right, of a rent strike, is this opinion. I can't guarantee that stuff wouldn't happen if we had a rent and mortgage strike. I can't guarantee anything. I can't control the world, and I can't predict the future. People who think that there would be chaos and martial law and whatever, that's your prediction, all right? And you can't predict the future either. But I get that's your prediction. And so allow me to just share my prediction of what would happen if 80% plus of Americans just outright refuse to pay rent or mortgages ever again. First, I think the government would very quickly pass a 6-month rent forgiveness or some length of time. They would go, like, basically the people in charge would be like, oh fuck, oh no, people are pretty pissed off. Uh-oh, they must be pretty mad if they're having a rent and mortgage strike. Maybe we gotta pump the brake a little bit on human exploitation until they calm down again. You know, that's what the powers that be would do. I think they'd be like, okay, how can we address this but still keep people in line so we can keep exploiting the labor class to make ourselves insanely rich. So that's one thing that would happen. And then I think what would happen is basically rent and more, the whole idea of like charging people for their homes would just start to fall away. And capitalists would find new ways to fleece the American people. Like the billionaires and shit, like they'll just find new things to sell us, you know? And like, will they be upset? Sure. But if nobody paid rent or mortgage, what can they do? They don't have the resources to evict or arrest everyone. And even if they did, it would completely nullify the labor class. They need us to be out and free and living so we can work to line their pockets. Capitalists don't give a shit about your life. Don't get me wrong. Like, the U.S. government doesn't give a shit about your life. You know, they'll happily kill you if it's going to make them richer. But they will also passionately keep you alive if it's going to make them richer. So keep that in mind too. Always look to the profit motive. The profit motive is king in our culture. Capitalism is the most sacredly held belief system on earth. Or always look to that. Look to the profit motive, please. So some people think it'd be chaos, martial law, tanks in the streets. I think it would you know, basically force the powers that be to make some real big changes. Would it solve every problem? No. Would some people have a rough time? Yeah. But here's the thing, y'all. Independent landlords in the U.S., there are roughly 11 million. And a lot of them are rich. And some of them aren't. But let's just take all the independent landlords. 11 million people. 11 million people in the U.S. are independent landlords. Do you know what percentage of the U.S. population that is? I'll tell you. 3.36%. Less than 4% of Americans are landlords. In no way am I trying to say that because landlords are a minority, they don't deserve protection or they don't deserve to live or anything like that. What I am saying is that landlords are fucking weirdos. All right? Any of you out, if you're a landlord watching this and you're one of the nice ones and you've got your little independent property, you're a freak. And I don't mean that in a negative, but just in a statistical reality way. All right? Almost no Americans are landlords. Statistically speaking, 3.36% is borderline negligible. All right? Like there might as well be none. Like, almost every person in America is not a landlord and is having to go out and work every week to pay their way. Okay? 78% of working Americans are working paycheck to paycheck. The norm is that you gotta work your fucking ass off and you will barely scrape by. Okay? That's what almost every American is dealing with. So if you're someone who has your own place and then another place that you own and rent out, even if that's your main source of income, like, please acknowledge you're in a pretty nice situation. And like, okay, if you're like very elderly and you can't work anymore, I get it. But like, if you still can work and you've got that extra property and you expect your tenants to go out and find new jobs in this crumbling economy to pay their rent so you don't have to go out and get a job to pay your own way. It's like, I know you like probably you have a story about you worked hard at some job and you saved the money and you went and bought this property so it could support you in your old age. And like, that's amazing. And you probably did work really hard, and it's fucking shitty that you've been scammed by a really corrupt system that makes things shitty for almost everybody. But the other point is that, like, when people come onto my posts and they're like, what about the land? What about my landlord? What about, it's like, yeah, I care about those individuals, but like, where are your priorities at? Like, the people who are threatened by not being able to pay their rent and being kicked out on the streets, it's like millions, and it's the majority of Americans are threatened by this. And the fact that you would put this emphasis on this much smaller threat, I need you to think about like where your mind goes and the first thing you worry about. Because what I hear is I'm going like, hey guys, there are homeless people on the streets. They're fucking dying. They're dying today. They're going to die tonight. More of them are going to die tomorrow. And they're just dying because they're on the fucking street. And literally, I don't know if you know this, but there are more empty homes in America than there are homeless people. So literally people are laying on the street and fucking dying from exposure and shit when there are empty houses sitting blocks away, unoccupied. And like, what the fuck? If you think that like trying to preserve this horrible capitalist system is worth those people dying, I don't fucking get it, man. And like I can say, look, different strokes, right? The world's a big, crazy place. Humans are different. We all have different perspectives. But oh my fucking God, I don't fucking get it, guys. I don't fucking get it. How can you care more about someone who has 2 properties to live in than you do about people who died on the street? But the point is, the landlords are not the villain. The landlords are victims of the system as well. The system is guilty. The system is guilty. The system is guilty. And now the final concern that was raised is the fact that rent and landlords go way back. All right? They're older than capitalism. They're older than any of these systems that are enforcing them now. All right, like one person, a friend came on and pointed out that like there were rent and landlords in ancient Egypt, and so her concern was like there might not be a solution. You know, like this has been the way things have worked for so fucking long, for thousands of years. Why would it change? And I totally get that. I so understand the doubt. About why would it? It's always been. This is just how humans are, and it's also pretty resigned and defeatist. I get it. Like I feel it too all the time, and I give up on humanity every other day. But then I also pick up the hope torch again, and I believe we can be better. You fucks. Because here's the thing, like all you humans out there, if I'm being perfectly honest, I think a whole lot of you are very stupid and very delusional. Like, so fucking dumb. The shit that comes out of your fucking mouths is goddamn staggering. But here's the thing about stupid people, in my view. Most people who say and do stupid things could stop saying and doing those stupid things. They could stop being stupid. They have the cognitive capacity. And even if they didn't, like people who are suffering from legitimate cognitive disorders that impair their cognitive ability, those people can still like figure out how to share their toys and like how to be considerate and compassionate to people. You know, like you don't have to be a fucking rocket scientist to be decent. And so much of what makes people stupid, especially Americans, is just delusion. You know, it's some fucking delusion you are hanging on to. No one else is hanging on to that delusion for you. It's your fucking brain claws dug into that stupid fucking bullshit you believe, all right? So it's up to you to let go of it. And you do have the power. Don't let anybody tell you different. You could let go of your stupid fucking delusions. You could take a step back and reassess and ask yourself hard questions and confront hard realities. You have that power, and it is a choice that you do not. And it doesn't make you horrible. It doesn't make you wrong. It doesn't make you bad. It just makes you a human being. Okay? We all need to be careful about the crazy directions our brains can go. Basically, my point is, I do think a lot of people are stupid, and I'm not, like, if I say I think you're stupid, I don't think you're, like, stupid forever. I don't think you, like, have a broken brain. I think somebody told you something stupid when you were young, and then you chose to believe it. And now I wish you would stop believing the stupid things you believe. Anyway, another tangent, but I don't give a fuck, because it's my video. Loosey-goosey, juicy-caboosey, I love Lucy! So, landlording, rent, very old institution, but just because something is old doesn't mean it can't change. You know, slavery was very popular all around the world for thousands of years. And then today we have mostly abolished it. Granted, there's still rampant wage slavery all over the world, and there is still some real slavery, like sex trafficking, for example. But at least sex trafficking isn't enforced by the U.S. government. You know, like, we've clearly made progress. So clearly, terrible, destructive, toxic institutions that seem like they're good at the time can be toppled and dismantled and replaced with healthier and more functional systems. It is possible. Is it easy? No. Is it hard? Yes. Does it usually take a lot of time? Yeah. Does it have to take a lot of time? No. So, you know, just keep all these things in mind. As long as we're talking about changing the world, let me segue into my closer here, which I think is the most important thing in all of this. Because, like, so far I've mostly criticized shit, right? I've mostly pointed to things and said, that's very stupid. And I stand by it. But the fact is, you can't change the world just pointing out what sucks, right? You have to create something new. You have to come up with new ideas and take action to install those new ideas, those new procedures, those new ways of doing things. So I want to close this video up by talking a little bit about my dream, my vision for what I think the world could be like if we change our behaviors and take different actions. You know, I imagine a world where nobody pays rent, where nobody pays mortgage, where nobody pays for the right to live, where nobody pays for food, where nobody pays for medicine, where it's all provided. And now you might be wondering, well, how are we going to pay for that? That's a very popular question. Who's going to pay for it, though? And first of all, the U.S. government already has plenty of money in their budget to pay for all these things. The problem is that they're spending it all on military. You could take like half of the U.S. military budget, and you could give everyone food and housing and medicine and all the things they need. So that question is, I get why you'd have it. And in today's world, with how much it's been explained why that question is stupid, that question is stupid now. Please stop asking that question. It's stupid, and it's been answered with a smart answer. Stop asking it! But then besides that aspect, the other thing is, in my idea of a beautiful, healthy, functional world where everybody can have a nice time, okay? That's what I'm imagining here. A world where every single human being has the opportunity to have a nice time in the one life they have to live on this earth. That's what I'm going for. And I know a lot of people watching this right now are like, hey, you're out of your fucking mind. Now, why don't we just put in some unicorns? And why don't we make Spider-Man the president of the United States? Or whatever. And I get it. I get how out there it sounds because the world is the way it is right now. I totally see how it seemed crazy. And I'm telling you, it's not. We can change these things. We can bring about a profound paradigm shift. And it's going to take more than laws. It's going to take more than voting. I'm sorry. I support voting. I support calling your reps. I support all that stuff. But we've been doing that shit for so long. Like leading up to this last stimulus bill, tons of people called their reps. It didn't fucking matter. And also, as long as we're talking about calling your reps, just a quick little side note. Is there any other fucking job in the world where you can go in an interview and say, oh, here's all the things I'm going to do when you give me this job. And then they say, that's great. Here's the job. Do the things you said you were going to do. And then you don't do the things you said you were going to do. And then when people are like, hey, why aren't you doing the things you said you were going to do? You go, well, why didn't you call me every day and tell me I should do them? Oh, yeah, why didn't we do that? Oh, right, because we already had a fucking vote. The vote was the call. We already fucking told you what we wanted you to do as our leader in a representative democracy. Why the fuck do we have to keep calling you every week to remind you what you already agreed to do? Moving on in terms of my vision of the world. I just want to see a world where everyone can have a good time. I want to see a world where shit is fucking just, where there's equity among people. From each according to their ability, to each according to their need. I think that's a very intelligent axiom and a wonderful guideline for the future of the human species. Because the way we've been doing things so far is like, I know like nothing is supposed to be anything, right? Like all of our judgments and our value systems, they only exist inside our own heads. So yes, on a very deep, like cosmic philosophical level, the world just is what it is. Nothing's wrong. Nothing's actually bad. And we're humans, and we have perspectives. And in my view, human civilization is a fucking disaster. We got to do something completely, totally new to bring about my goal, which is every human being on Earth having a nice time. And what we have right now is we live in a casino world. And so often this idea is pushed that it's like a meritocracy and that like people are rewarded for their hard work and their ability. And it's just not fucking true. And there's a great study that came out from these Italian researchers. I believe it was one economist and two physicists. And I'll put a link in the description so you can check it out because it's a really fascinating in-depth study. But basically what they did is they were looking at like how much does luck affect your success in life, as opposed to like talent or hard work or what have you. And so they built this whole simulation, this whole digital model filled with people and, programmed in all the shit in terms of like, bad luck, good luck, all these things. Again, it's very complex. Read the article. But basically what they determined after running multiple simulations is that consistently, every time, the people who did the best were lucky. That certainly talent is a factor, is a significant factor in your success. Talent is not in no way negligible, but it is only one factor, and it is a smaller factor than the factor of luck. So the simple fact is, the number one reason you're living in a house right now and somebody else is living on the street is luck. And I know, like, you like to think, like, oh, no, I worked hard and I did. And you did. Like, look, if you're succeeding under capitalism, it's amazing. Like, if you're succeeding under capitalism and you weren't born into wealth, holy fuck, you're incredible. You were part of such a statistical minority. Like, kudos to you for making it work in such a fundamentally shitty, toxic system. Like, you must be working hard and you must be working smart because there's no other way to do it. I don't want to take any of that away from you. Like, it's really impressive. And the number one thing that got you where you are is luck. It's just how the world works. It doesn't mean you're bad or I'm bad or anything's bad. It's just, that's how it fucking works. Luck is number one. So before we did this whole civilization thing and we were living in a state of nature, we were still subject to the whims of the fates, like life is unpredictable. The universe is chaotic and entropic, right? Like everything's gobbly, gookity, gookity, gobbly, gibbity, gabbity. So like things are crazy. And I'm not saying that like we could ever build a system that could completely rule out chance. It's impossible, right? There's always going to be like random disasters. Things are going to happen, like an asteroid could come from space. Like at any moment of any day, the sun could just like fart out a solar flare that could kill all life on Earth. Life is crazy. Tomorrow is not guaranteed. We're all going to die. Never forget it. But not to be depressed, but because like be motivated. We're all going to die. Do something. Have fun. Enjoy your life. Hey, we're all going to die. Let's have fun. Woo! Ah! Like that. And then I'm having fun. Hey, thanks for listening. If you're still watching right now, hey, cool. This is fun. I like yelling at a camera. Back in a state of nature, there were no guarantees. Everything was crazy. It was just, could you survive? Every person for themselves, hunt, forage, whatever. And then we started doing civilization. And what's funny is we took this random crazy world and then we built a casino on top of it. And so like now things are still random and crazy and like some unexpected event could ruin your whole life. But also there's this like owner class living at the top of everything, this minority of super rich billionaire fucks who they are the house. Like Earth is a nightmare casino, like I think it's almost kind of bad that we call it a civilization because like, is this a civilization? Feels more like a prototype to me. Is it civilized to force everyone to do work by threatening to kill them with poverty? I say no, it's not. It's not civilized. So maybe stop calling this thing we're doing on Earth as humans a civilization and start calling it what it is, which is a global nightmare casino. So we're stuck in the global nightmare casino right now, which is very silly to me because what point is there to have a civilization if not to make things less like a casino? like what the fuck? Like why have a government except to create safety nets so that we can all live safer lives where when the crazy things that happen in our crazy, chaotic, unpredictable universe, when those things happen, it doesn't ruin our life. Like, why don't we protect each other? Like, if you're not going to use government to do that, what's left? Just making money official and punishing the bad guys? Ugh! It's like right-wingers in America want government to just do the two most silly, childish things it does and don't want it to provide social safety nets. Social safety nets are the only reason to have a fucking government, really. And organizing, organizing everybody for our common good, protecting us from common threats. So that's the world I'd like to see, is a world where everything is organized to make it so that everyone can contribute and everyone can benefit. And so I'm not just talking about a world where like nobody has to work and everything magically gets done. No, that's crazy. Obviously not that. People are going to have to do things to make the world run and to make society function. What I'm talking about is a world where you don't have to work as much because it's not even fucking necessary, and you get a whole lot more benefit because you already earned it. And under capitalism, the value of your work is being stolen from you by profiteers. So the world I imagine is not one where nobody works, though I do imagine a world where no one is forced to work. And I know a lot of people are like, oh, you don't, nobody forces them to work. No one will work. Everyone's so lazy. But really, we don't know what the fuck we are when we're not living under late stage capitalism. That is such a corrupting factor in the equation. For you to look at the way humans are behaving under late stage capitalism and then say like that would continue unchanged if you change the whole system and context in which people are living is so fucking out there to me. Like, we don't know who we are without these daily economic pressures driving us fucking insane. Will people want a break after? Will labor want a vacation after being exploited for generations? Yeah, probably. There's probably going to be some kind of, transitional period figuring things out. I mean, there definitely will be. It's a must. But we can work through that and we can get to the other side and figure it out and make a world that's not a fucking casino. I want to see a world where people where we all work 3 days a week, maybe. That's the general suggestion. Go work 3 days a week. And then you get all your benefits. You get housing, you get food, you get medicine. And those 3 days a week of work are always government work programs, very similar to the New Deal under FDR, where everyone is doing 3 days of work that are actually directly contributing to the general functionality of society. So all of those 3 day work days, you'd always be doing stuff like making food, farming, medicine, all these things. And if people wanted to work more, they could. And if some people are like, I don't want to work at all, and they just wanted to stay home and do nothing, instead of sending armed thugs to beat them up or throw them in a cage, what if instead the government sent someone to talk to them? What about that? What if they just what if someone just came when you weren't feeling like work, came to you and said, "Hey, how are you? What's going on? What you don't want to contribute to society? What's happening? Are you feeling okay? Let's have a conversation. Let's figure out where they're at." And I think 99 times out of 100, with a nice, connected, sincere conversation, that person who didn't want to work would go you know what, I get it now, and I'm going to go contribute. Because when you're doing work that actually matters, that's actually contributing to people and helping people, people like that work. This whole idea that people don't want to work is such fucking right-wing propaganda. People want to work, they just don't want to work insane hours for shit pay. If you fucking cut their hours or paid them more, almost everyone in America would love their jobs. The only issue is everyone gets paid shit and everyone gets fucking worked to the goddamn bone. And to ignore those components and just reduce everything down to, oh, people are lazy, nobody wants to work. Go fuck yourself, you fucking liar or idiot, whichever one you are. And I'm sorry, I feel like my whole fucking life I've been biting my tongue to preserve the feelings of fools. And I don't want to call anyone a fucking idiot or a liar. I get it. I know the moment that if you're a fucking Trump supporter watching right now, I think you're a fucking idiot. And I get that the moment I tell you, hey, you're a fucking idiot for thinking that Trump tells the truth about anything or is going to save you, immediately you're in defensive mode. You're like, I'm not an idiot. You're an idiot. You libtard. Blah, blah, blah. And you've already categorized me in a little file folder in your brain for fucking libtard cucks. And so I get it. I'm not creating the healthiest dialogue here, but I'm kind of fucking over it. I'm so fucking pissed off at the fucking American right wing, you goddamn bastards. So I'm gonna tell you, you're idiots. If you support this shit, you're idiots or you're liars. It's one or the other, all right? So please, all of us, let's get together. Anyone out there who's watching this, who thinks how I do, who feels the way I do, let's connect. Please reach out, comment, let's talk. If you disagree with me, please comment, let's talk. I'm not an absolutist. If you can present to me a better course of action to get us to my goal of a world where every human being has the opportunity to contribute and benefit from the shared society, then please tell me and I will listen. And if it is a functional plan and a functional solution, I will work my ass off with you to make it happen. All right? But you've got to explain it. You got to make it rational. You got to have evidence backing it up. And if you don't have those things, I'm not going to fucking do what you want. Like, please. So, all right. I think that's just about everything I have to say. I'm very moist now. I'm so moist. And if you made it all the way to the end, thank you so much for watching this and listening. I hope it was fun. I hope you thought about some things and laughed, and maybe you feel a little better. Maybe you feel some sense of solidarity if you think like I do. And if you disagree with me and you think I'm out of my fucking mind, I love you. Even though I might think you're an idiot or a liar, I love you. I wish you the best. I hope you change your mind someday. And I hope we can all, as humans, just get on the same page about some basic things. Because yes, like, the human tapestry is grand and diverse and varied, and we're all individuals, and we all have our own little traits and picadillos, but there are basic things that we all need. We all want to live. We all want a sense of purpose. We all need food and water and housing. Like, if we can't get all on the same page about providing that to all of us, we just don't care about each other. And that's how it looks right now, is that, like, a lot of us, like, we just don't care. We look at each other and we see enemies. And while I do look at a lot of people and see idiots and fools, I believe that someday we can agree and we can all work together. I really do. And I think part of the way we're going to get there is being real. If you think I'm an idiot and a liar, fucking tell me too. Call me a fucking idiot. Call me a liar. Say what you actually think. Say what you actually feel. Because I think that's one of the number one things that's going to get us from the global nightmare casino world we're living in to a world that I'm imagining, a world where we all take care of each other and provide for each other and share the world in such a way that we can all enjoy its miraculous offerings. Life is so amazing. The world, we don't know where we came from or where we're going. We just were given this gift of existing for nothing. We weren't charged a price to be born. Like, this whole idea that we have to earn a life, it's just not true. This was a gift. Life was given to us as a gift. And if we could learn to share it, everyone would get an awesome piece of that gift. But if we allow a minority of humans to hoard that gift, to hoard the resources, to hoard the made-up money that guides where resources can go, we're just going to be miserable forever. So please, let's stop the old way. Let's start a new way. Let's talk. Let's communicate. Let's be real. Say what you're actually thinking. Say what you're actually feeling. Be fearless. Don't say what you think is going to make you look good. Don't say what you think people want to hear. Say what you have to say. Drop all the filters. Speak, express, say it. Please, we could save each other and save this planet for ourselves if we can just communicate. Because voting, laws, all this other shit is a poor substitute for authentic, connected communication. All right? We're all human beings. All right? There's no other, like with the whole climate change thing, I always think, like, man, I wish there was like a race of lava people. Wouldn't that make like the whole climate change debate so much more palatable? Like if there was like a race of lava people who lived on the earth and like they didn't care about climate change because they're lava people. What do they care if the earth gets hotter? And we were like, the people were like, no, but we're flesh people and it's bad for us. Like imagine if the debate was between fleshies and lava people. That debate would at least fucking make sense. But instead we have this debate where everyone is flammable and yet one portion is like, it's not a big deal. It's so fucking crazy. So like, please remember, we're all the same thing. We're all human beings. I love you. Be well. Be safe out there. Stay home if you can. And I pray that we all get through this with minimal suffering, minimal casualties. That is my prayer for the future. Have a wonderful day. Have a wonderful week. Think about these things. Talk to people about these things. Take whatever actions you can to push us in that direction. Just having a conversation is an action. Reach out to someone. Connect. Say what you're thinking. Say what you're feeling. Please. I love you. Let's do this.